Let's talk about managing perfectionism, how you can chase big goals without burning out. Hi everyone, I'm Maddie May and welcome to another episode of College Girl Boss, an empowerment podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. I have Madeline Duncan with me here to talk about perfectionism. Mm-hmm. Would you like to say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a second semester mental health counseling major. I'm getting my master's at Southeastern currently, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so what do you do outside of school? What are some of your hobbies?
Oh, a lot. I work on the side, of course, 2 jobs, like I feel like most students nowadays, so it's a lot to balance. I have a really, really avid social life. I like to host at my house a lot. Yeah. My family's really important to me. Mm-hmm. I really, really make a dedication, I guess, to yoga as well. Yeah. Just my own, self-help, well-being. Yeah. I need it. So that's really important to me.
Yeah, so you sound like you put a lot on your plate.
Yes.
Do you feel like you can ever sit still?
No. This week is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm really the same way. I'm very type A. I always have to be doing stuff. Mm-hmm. But it can lead to the burnout.
Yes.
Especially when you aren't prioritizing what's most important for you. Mm-hmm. How do you manage that burnout? Is it the yoga and
the yoga has definitely helped. Yeah. I have been led to burnout several times, and I try to make it a practice where I do yoga at least twice a week. But it's not just going to do yoga. Right before this podcast, I was like, oh my God, I'm feeling so flustered with all these tasks on my plate. Yeah. I need to just stop. I need to just take a step back. And I just did a 10-minute meditation in the middle of the library, not really caring who sees me, just sitting there breathing. If I need a second to come back to my senses, to come back to myself, to show up better in the tasks that I do, then I'm going to do that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
No, I feel that. It doesn't matter who's looking. Take the moment. So, I was doing my makeup in the middle of the lobby. I could already feel the stares, but I was like, this is my me time. Block out everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important. So important. Just to show up authentically, really. Because it's if you show up authentically and you're not worried about what other people are seeing or thinking about you, then you can show up for what you do in your daily life better.
It's really important to show up for yourself because at the end of the day, you're the only person that you can authentically rely on. So again, prioritizing yourself first is the most important when it comes to perfectionism.
I wanted to bring that book that I'm reading right now because I had highlighted some things and of course forgot it today.
No, it happens.
I know, but
perfectionism.
Exactly.
You forget all the little details.
It's just I think as perfectionists, we put so much on our plate because we have such high standards for ourselves. Yeah. And that's kind of the type of perfectionist I claim to be. I know there are different types.
We put the pressure on ourselves to make it. Do you ever see other people doing things and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how that girl does XYZ or how she does that on top of all of this. And so I think perfectionism also comes from the comparison to other people. And I think social media kind of makes that such a bigger issue when in reality, that influencer might have just had one busy day out of 2 months. You know what I mean? It's not realistic.
Yeah. So, a little different take here. I stay off of social media. I just can't. Yeah. I just can't do it. I would love to. I would love to post more. But it just got to the point where I did feel burnt out, and I felt that comparison to others and stuff like that. But what I was gonna say earlier too, with that, I get that all the time. Oh my God, how do you do that? Why do you do so much to yourself? Literally, someone told me today, well, you put all that stuff on your plate when I'm all stressed about it. And I'm like, okay,
Oh.
I understand these are, the decisions I made, but it's because I believe in myself to do them all. Mm-hmm. It's like I have this 5-year plan and this vision for how my life is going to go, mm-hmm. and the goals that I know that I'm capable of reaching, and where I see myself. And I have come to realize that not a lot of people do. They're
not a lot of people have that internal drive,
right?
That's making them show up every single day.
Exactly, and I think that's a part of what perfectionism, like most perfectionisms, mm-hmm. people have. They have that drive for something more. There's like that never feeling satisfied. Yet other people around us are like, "Oh, you're doing too much," but to us, it's like we need to be doing more constantly.
Yeah. No, I felt that you're doing too much in my soul.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially like in college, mm-hmm. because it's also like, do you get FOMO as a perfectionist?
I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I will literally host events at my house, mm-hmm. and like for all my other friends and like my partner.
Yeah.
And I'll be inside doing homework because I just know my priorities. Mm-hmm. Or I won't be doing homework, but I'll just be tapped out, and I know my social battery. And if it's spent, it's spent. And if I overextend it, then that's gonna affect the next day.
Yeah.
But that's a different story.
So you feel the pressure every day to be productive, like, mm-hmm. The saying, like, we have the same 24 hours in a day, like, mm-hmm. your 24 hours, you're cramming everything in, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So what does a typical day-to-day look like for you, like? As far as working 2 jobs, school.
Most people see my Google Calendar and they think I'm crazy. But I typically put yoga in the morning and the evening. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to make both of them. If I don't make either of them, that's okay, but it's on my calendar just so it's there to reminder. See the options.
Yeah.
Right. To also keep that time block open. Mm-hmm. If I can't get to it, whatever. Anyway. Then I do my graduate assistantship job in the morning. I work for career services on campus, so I do resume reviews and help out with events that career services puts on. That's actually how we met last week. And then I have class pretty much every day, and on the one day I don't have class, I go watch my nieces and nephews. And then typically I say there's a study block in the evening, but it's typically booked with something that I committed to unnecessarily. Yeah. Not this is exciting, but
oh, you're so nice. And I think that's the dark side of perfectionism, is that you never have enough time for yourself, mm-hmm. because you're committing to so many other things, and it's really hard to say no. Mm-hmm. I know for me, I would get the FOMO. I would get the, oh my gosh, like I want to do everything and anything all at once. Mm-hmm. And I think the best advice that I was given was, you can't do everything well. So when you stretch yourself so thin, mm-hmm. it's like you're only half showing up for each thing. Right. So it's like when you really want to make an impact on people in college, mm-hmm. or just like for the career, or anything you're doing, it's like when you only show up half, like, you're capable of more. Yes. So then it's this internal cycle of, mm-hmm. oh my gosh, I feel like I'm not doing good enough, but I also am stretched so thin. Right. But it's like you're disappointing yourself in the long run.
And I think that it's really important for me in, the profession that I want to go into as a mental health counselor. Yeah. I want to be the best version of myself for my clients. When I am in a session, I want to be fully present. And that's something that I feel like perfectionists struggle with a lot, and I have had to work really, really hard to combat, is just stop thinking about the to-do of just like a million things running in your head, and just be present in the moment of what you are doing right then. And that's why I think like integrating flow state into my schedule and into my life has been just such a game mm-hmm. changer, and allowing me to know what it even feels like to be present. And specifically present in the work that I'm doing as I progress in my school career and my career. Because it's like I want to be actually learning these things, not just checking off something off my planner or my to-do list. I want to be fully
Yeah, you wanna show up full force. Exactly. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't have a word.
Yeah.
So we're gonna backtrack a little bit because I had actually never heard of flow state before you brought that up. So I would love for you to share with our viewers like what flow state is and how they can incorporate that into their routine.
Yeah. So think about something that you just really, really enjoy doing, and when you're doing it, time doesn't matter, sort of thing. And then imagine if you can implement that into the things that you don't necessarily want to be doing, like your homework. Like there is a way to get into flow state while you're doing your homework so that you are present in doing that and actually learning the material. So something that is good for me to get into flow state, my environment is super, super important to me. And I'm also a little ADHD, so like I can't have the distraction. So getting in my office, sometimes
squirrel brain,
constantly. The lighting is important to me. If I have a glass of water, if I have my headphones ready, like I set up.
You set the tone.
I set the tone.
For how
I set the vibes.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to set the vibes.
Love that. Set the vibes.
And essentially, that it also includes a minute or two of just some breath work or just some sort of mindfulness to say like, okay, I'm actually letting go of the other thoughts that are swirling around in my mind and the to-do lists and the anxieties too. Just taking a second to really let go of those things. If I am having a particularly hard day, maybe a minute of breath and just mindfulness isn't enough. Maybe I have to do a 10-minute meditation. I have also just sat on a bench on campus before and literally crisscross applesauce on a bench doing a meditation. Like,
absolutely.
I don't care what people think, that's how I show up better for the people in my life and the future people in my life that will be clients or friends or, stuff like that. So flow state is just getting into that headspace of presence while doing your work, essentially.
Yeah.
But you definitely, if you're interested, do some further research.
I think that you're like my alter ego, Madeline. Like, no, I'm
We're
so
both
serious.
Madeline. So.
Yeah, I'm so serious. Like, I feel like you're my alter ego because, like, I did want to be a therapist.
Really?
Yeah. So I actually decided to not go into therapy because I personally, like, I wear everyone's stuff like a backpack. I will carry it around all day and not realize it's with me. Yeah. And then it's hard for me to take off. So I just knew that it would be really difficult for me to personally have a career. Yeah. And I wanted to choose my own happipiness and also help people in other ways.
Yeah. There's so many different ways.
I feel like you're my alter ego in that way because I feel like we're just so similar. But I love that you brought up the breathing technique too. What's the breathing technique? It's like 4-7-8 or 4-8-7
There's
or something.
so many different ones. You kind of just got to do whichever ones works for you. There's like alternate nostril breathing where like you do stuff like that. That one actually is really helpful for
how do you do it?
So you'll like do your hands kind of like this.
Okay.
And then you'll put your thumb to one side of your nose and then breathe in. And then hold it. And then move to your pinky, and then breathe out the other nostril.
Okay, if you have a cold this week,
don't do that. It doesn't work when
this will not work.
Yeah, it doesn't work if you got snot up there.
Oh, dude, that's great.
And then just alternate.
I've tried I want to say it's the 4-7-8 method, and that one actually helps me go to sleep so fast. Yeah. So I'm an advocate for the breathing techniques. Or if you're in class, it is okay to take a minute to just close your eyes, and if your teacher calls you out, you just need a minute. Like, I'm sorry, I just needed a minute.
And I mean, we all breathe. Like, you can really do that very discreetly. You know, and something, a little yoga thing here. It's called the drishti. It's the yoga gaze. And your eyes actually aren't closed, but they're focused on a single point. So you could play around with your drishti and just try to have a gaze, and then no one would even really know. You're just breathing a little bit.
I love that. Yeah, you're like my alter ego, in another life, we would have this.
And I feel like you're mine, because at one point I wanted to be the CEO, and I wanted to, have my own business and everything. And I would like to still have my own business, like my private practice.
Yeah, you could definitely still do that.
And you can always be some sort of therapist.
Shoot.
But it really, the empathy, like, I have gone back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can I handle this? Can I handle all of everyone else's problems? Because it's like I've been doing it for all my life, it seems. So it's like, do I really want to commit my life to this?
Yeah.
But essentially, like, I have to learn the boundaries that come with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've had someone tell me, like, on the way to work, there's a specific stop sign that you pick up that backpack. And whenever you're leaving work, you leave that backpack at that stop sign. Theoretically, of course.
Yeah,
yeah, and that's something that I'm definitely kind of fearful of. But I want to help people out in that way. And I, have figured out that there's the purpose there. And that's kind of like what, maybe that perfectionism in me, like, I have that drive.
Yeah.
And that's what, my intuition is telling me. And I'm going to keep, reaching for that drive.
Yeah, absolutely. Never stop reaching for that drive. And I think that it's a gift to have that, because that was something I had to accept working in groups with people. Not everybody has that. And it doesn't mean that they work any less than you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're better than them in any sense. It just means that you're different.
Absolutely.
And in this world, there are people that are meant to work at Walmart. There are people who are meant to be CEOs, and every single thing in between. So it is okay to have a place in this world that is completely different than somebody else.
And I think it's important to note, too, just access. Like, some people, they do have, that drive and all of those things. They just don't have the resources or the access, maybe because of their financial state or their socioeconomic status and stuff like that. But still, like, if you have a dream, push for it, regardless of those things. It's really hard in this, environment we live in. But still try, don't ever give up on those types of dreams. But anyway.
Yeah, you heard Madeline. Never give up on your dreams. We're here to empower you every single day, because you got to take advantage of the one life you're given in this world. I have a little mini reflection for the viewers today, for the girl bosses. How much of your ambition is fueled by joy and instant gratification versus fear of failure?
Yeah, I think that that's a big part of being a perfectionist, and the pressure that we put on ourselves is, like, are we reaching for something because we love it, or are we reaching for something because we feel like we have this innate, you must succeed, and you're afraid of not reaching some
milestone,
something that you set for yourself, or something that you feel like someone else has, pressured you into and kind of ingrained that in your mind, that you have to succeed or you can't fail. But really the best thing about growth and the best thing about learning is failure, because that's the only way that we can learn is through failure. And I think that's a really big part of kind of breaking through some of that perfectionism. It's like there are really great ways that perfectionists benefit from those traits, but it can hold us back in the ways that we are afraid to fail, and that we're afraid to get started on something because it won't be perfect. Nothing is ever going to be perfect until we start, until we try. And I think that's a big part, like, being so worried about the outcome. The outcome can maybe be perfect, but that doesn't mean that the process has to be. The process and the journey towards some sort of success, or whatever you define it, is not going to be perfect. There are going to be a million pitfalls.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, too. And I think that, like, speaking with people and really understanding, doing that self-assessment to understand yourself is really important, because if you're aware of what you're doing, you can be aware of what other people are doing and understand them. So, like, for me, I'm really passionate. Like, I'm so driven. I'm like, if I'm in something, I'm in it. Like, I'm 0 or 100. There's no 50%. Like, in it to win it. And what kind of struck out to me is I had someone tell me that I'm going to go and I'm going to set fire to the world. Like, in a good way. Like, he didn't mean it in, like, a destructive. But also, like, the flip side of that is I could go to the world and I could set fire to it and literally destroy it. So it's like, where is the line? And I think that recognizing when you're really stressed and when you've taken on too much is really important. And having that bandwidth to say no to something that's not going to be beneficial for you too.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like, hearing those things from those people, you're so capable, you know, you're going to set fire to the world. Like, I had a volleyball coach, and she was like, you're a Duncan, and she knew my parents, and she knew my uncle, and my whatever.
Stop, that reminds me of Good Luck Charlie.
You're a Duncan. Yes, I know.
Good Luck Charlie.
And just, like, the pressure behind that, you know, but, like, they don't define your success, you do, kind of thing. Yeah. So sometimes you just got to take that pressure off.
Yeah, especially when you have so many people rooting for you. It's like you also don't want to let them down because they see you as this perfect person. Like, it doesn't matter, like, but as a perfectionist, you also don't want to let others down because you hold yourself to a standard. Maybe they don't hold you to it, but they also see you as, like, too perfect sometimes. So it's like a paradox of, like, you don't want to let your guard down and be too vulnerable, but at the same time, like, you want to show up and be perfect.
But you also don't want to let yourself down.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like if we are just trying to show up and be that perfect person, we're not showing people who we are. Yeah. And I think that a big part of growth, and this is for me, but showing up perfectly is showing up vulnerably so that we can connect with one another on a deeper level. And to be that light for other people and to show other people that they can also be vulnerable because that leads to deeper connection within ourselves, within our family, within our friends, essentially within you know, humanity. That's what I think we're supposed to do, is to connect with one another.
Do you feel like you're always the strong one?
Yeah. Like, my new boss, Mr. Craig, asks me questions, like, every day at work, like, how you doing, you okay, like, you need this, you need that, and then I'm like, I'm okay. He was like, you ain't never been catered to, have you? And I'm like, no. Like, no, I'm always the one catering, I'm always the one showing up.
Oh, yes.
So it's nice too to, like,
to be valued and to feel valued and, like, not be in the, for lack of better words, like, the crap show, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when you're the strong one, it's so easy for you to step up and be like, I got this. Like,
but it's also okay to be like,
I don't have this.
I could use some help. Or just, I need a second. I need some rest to show up better. Because you do got this, essentially. Like, but maybe that just means after a nap. Or
after some meditation.
After a glass of water.
Yeah. Or maybe you need to work on it with somebody else. Like, teamwork is really essential, and I think that it helps, especially in the business setting. Like, the more eyes you can have on something, the more successful a project is going to be. So it's okay to ask for help. And that was something I struggled with. I would just do it, and I'd be like, I got it, I'm capable. No, sometimes I need to, like, slow down and be like, you need to ask for help. You need to ask if you wise.
Because collaboration is so important, because that's also how we, you know, learn more, is from other people and from talking to other people and being okay with, maybe I can take suggestions for something else, or maybe I can, you know, try to work better with other people and stuff like that, rather, because I'm very much like my mother, and, like, this is the way I think that we should do this, and, like, my way is probably the best way, or the most effective way, or the most efficient way,
or the highway, like.
But really, like, where is the room to connect with others and to see other perspectives at that point? You got to leave some room from that. But, like, me saying that, it's hard. It's so hard. It's so hard. I get it.
Yeah, no, I feel that, because I see a little bit of my mom that comes out too, and I'm like, whoa, where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Another topic that pops up pretty frequently in perfectionism is that fear of unmet potential, or that FOMO I was talking about earlier. Why do we feel like we're not doing enough as perfectionists?
Yeah. I think it's because we know what we're capable of.
Yeah.
And I think that we have this vision in our head of what we can do, and the potential that we have and where we can meet it. So we hold ourselves to this high standard, but that also puts us in such a rush. Like, I have been debilitated at times by just this overwhelming feeling of like, oh, but I have a perfect example. I'm taking a research class right now.
Today.
Yeah, literally last week. I'm taking a research class right now, and always so hard, like, thinking about a topic, but it wasn't for me because I was like, oh, this is the perfect opportunity. Like, this isn't just a class, it's the beginning of my career. Like, I've always said I want to write a book on codependency. I was like, okay, this could be the start. But really, it is just a class, and like I can just take what I learned from that class to write that book later on. Like, why am I in such a rush? Like, if I think about where
You're like, girl, I'm delusional right now. Like, slow down.
Slow down. Like, if I look at where I was last year and the amount of growth that there has been, the amount of knowledge that I have gained, the amount of awareness, the amount of presence that I've gained, the amount of connections that I've gained, and I guess in y'all's world it would be more networking.
Yeah.
But like, the amount I've networked this year, and then thinking a bigger picture, like last year I was like, oh, by next year I need to have my first journal article published.
Yeah.
Slow down. Like, we will get there eventually.
And I think that's another thing. I've talked a little bit about this on another episode, but it's like, because we set such high goals, it's like you're positively setting a great goal for yourself. However, that positive and the positive kind of creates a negative because you're reminding yourself every single day, I have not achieved this. I have not gotten to this level. Right. So while you set this amazing goal for yourself, it might not be actionable, and you're putting yourself down every day by just not achieving it.
So I have had to very intentionally, like, ask myself an alternate question whenever those thoughts come up in my head. I kind of combat it and give myself the affirmation of,
you're doing great today, sweetie.
Not even, yes, definitely.
That's what I tell myself. I'm like, you're doing great today.
But it's like, whether I'm reaching those goals today or not, am I being the type of person today that will get me there in the future? Am I, if I want to publish a book today, I'm rushing. If I want to publish a book one day, am I writing today? Am I practicing that skill that will eventually get me there? Does that make sense?
Yeah, like, is your present self creating your future self you want to be?
It's like you are actively every day. I know you've had a podcast about habits. Like, habits are so important. I read Atomic Habits book like every January.
Lock in. This is my year.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a good reminder of just, am I making the decisions today that help me to show up for that future self?
To reinforce that
it's like
future
you're not
self.
going to lose 50 pounds in a day, but if you go to the gym today and make it a habit, you'll get there. You're actively putting in the work of becoming the person that you want to be, and the person that will reach those goals.
Yeah, you're
and
reminding
that's really
me.
all you can do.
You're reminding me I need to go to the gym. Like,
I'm
leaving immediately, like, to go to the gym.
I did yoga for a year and lost like 40 pounds.
Wow.
I don't work out, but I was at a 40-hour-a-week job, sitting on my butt 40 hours a week, and then after leaving a serving job, like 2 serving jobs. So yeah, that was other factors. But anyway,
but I digress.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. Is what you're doing today going to reinforce that positive self? And that's such great advice. I think that if you kind of remind yourself of that why, So I want to be this today. Why do I want to be it? Remind yourself of that why and show up for yourself in a way that's going to positively affect that future self.
Yes. And it even goes to the extent of what you're telling yourself in your head. You know, like the thoughts that you're saying. Like, would a confident business owner, CEO, girl boss be telling herself that she sucks or that she can't do this or that, you know, she shouldn't have scrolled for 20 more minutes, you know, just all of those shame-based beliefs that we tell ourselves, especially as women, just constantly putting down on ourselves.
I will say I do know a few business owners, and I guarantee they do this, so it's normal.
Yes.
But don't let that control the rest of your day.
Right. Yeah. And it's just like you kind of think like, okay, how do I want to show up for myself? How do I want that to reflect in my head? You know, if you say something negative in your head, force yourself to say something positive. Try to have the type of awareness and the consciousness where you recognize those negative thoughts and then rewrite them right afterwards. Yeah. That's something that's really helped me, but it's hard to do.
No, I feel that. And I think that it took me a long time to realize your mindset is everything. It's nothing to do with like the idea that you have in your head of like what your life should look like. It's your mindset and how you show up for yourself. Because, again, if you think you have a terrible life, you have a terrible life. If you think you have a great life, you have a great life. Right. So you have to reinforce those positive thoughts in your head.
And it really is, it's just so true. Like, we create our reality. I really do believe. Like, the things that you are telling yourself, that's the way that you're going to show up in the world. To yourself, to the people around you.
Yeah, so tell yourself today, you're doing great, sweetie. Look at yourself in the mirror. And it's okay to have those negative thoughts, but don't let them define you. And show up for yourself in a positive way. Don't expect to do it all overnight.
Yeah, so I've really appreciated this conversation today. I really love talking about this type of stuff. I really, really believe that success isn't about rushing to that finish line. It's about becoming. It's about the journey of how to get there. The journey is not going to be perfect whatsoever. You're already enough. Your future success is just a reflection of who you choose to be today and how you choose to show up for yourself in that way.
Period.
Yeah, period.
Out of all the topics we've talked about today, we mentioned flow state and getting into that state of mind to positively reinforcing your future self and setting boundaries. Madeline, what are some final thoughts that you would leave with our audience and maybe they can take away from this podcast today?
Yeah, I think the most important thing and the thing that I want you to remember and that I have to remind myself every day for us high-achieving gals and perfectionists out there, give yourself some grace. We do a lot and recognize that you deserve some rest. You deserve some praise, too, I think, and that you're doing enough. I think it's just important to show yourself some love and some grace, and I think that's what I want people to remember.
Yeah, girl bosses, give yourself a big hug. Love yourself. Oh, that is so cute. And I want to say thank you to Madeline for just taking a chance and being a guest on my podcast today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and inviting me. It was fun.
If you found this video helpful today and you really enjoyed it, make sure you give it a thumbs up so I know to make videos like this on my channel. Please let me know in the comments below what kind of videos you would love for me to make, and I will make that happen. And as always, girl bosses, I'm so excited to start this journey with you. This is Cammie.
Yeah, Cammie. Hi, Cammie. I'm going to make better eye contact with you. From that to-do list, when you need it. Offering myself grace, I think, has gotten me kind of where I'm at.
No, we're going to have to repeat that. Will you go turn a light on?
Yeah.
Bloopers! No, you got to click the light. Yes!
Okay. Motion. But anyway.
Okay, where should I start that? I'm going to, just restart from the top. Okay.